your life, Texan Sarah J.
Yeehaw! The truth is, this was my mother's hat, and I want to have a piece of my mom with me everywhere I go. And also, it's the Texan thing.
What are the characteristics of the icon, person, place, or thing you would consider collaborating with?
I'm about changing the world and igniting the world and creating connections. So the kind of person that I would collaborate with, first of all, would have to be a woman, somebody who's, dynamic and wants to change the world the way I do. So
how do you want to change the world?
Well, I want people really, bottom line, to be who they are. I want them to ignite their lives, and that's my big passion, and create connections. And when you know who you are, you can easily connect to other people because you're firm in your self-esteem, you're firm in knowing what you love, what you want to do with your life. And even with people that I don't like, I know that if they were truly themselves, they would be a much nicer person, So so that's what's really important to me and how I change the world. And I change the world also by seeing what other people don't see necessarily. I was meditating this morning out in this very backyard, and I saw a little tiny sprout coming out of this kind of ugly part of our backyard where our dog has chewed everything up. But it's this little tiny double-leafed sprout, and it was heart-shaped, the two sprouts. And I thought, that's just a metaphor. I mean, everywhere we turn, there are metaphors for life, And so this double heart-shaped sprout just made me think anything beautiful, something beautiful can come out of ugliness. It can come out of dirt. I started thinking about water lilies, how they need to be in mud in order to grow. And we're in a chaotic time in the world right now.
And I want to stop you right there because you have brought up some great points that I don't want to have them skimmed over. Number one, because a lot of women I deal with go through this. Number one, it's being confident in who you are, knowing who you are, and daring to be seen. Right. Daring that others might think you're nuts or they don't like you, especially in art. I think art is very personal, and you're literally bearing your soul to people who may or may not relate. And that, to me, says that developing that confidence inside ourselves is so important. Plus, once it's developed, we attract those energies that can lead us in the direction of, where do I go now? Who am I? And you have had that direction given to you, is what I'm hearing. And very good.
Yes. And it comes from spirit. I honestly have to give credit to spirit, whatever that is, the greater, higher power energy. And also, I always say art connects to the heart. So, your art comes from your heart. And when you do that, and I work with elementary school kids, and we always meditate, and then we talk about connecting to the heart. That's your soul. That's what's inside of you. And, I don't like art contests. I don't even like grading art that much. But you do want to kind of give some scale and feedback to things. But it's really your soul. And so that's why I have people, use art in a lot of my workshops, in my labyrinth walks, in a lot that I do. And just for myself, I mean, when I'm trying to figure out things, I make art. That's what I do. So art is a huge form of expression and communication and connection. And so I love art, and I'm an artist and a writer,
And one of the things I've wanted,
but also just to honor living life fully. And so I wrote 12 ways to ignite your life daily. And it took me 10 years to write those. And they're the cornerstone of my art project. And I wrote them because people didn't know how to ignite their life sometimes. I mean, they would know, okay, I like playing guitar, so yes, I understand I should play guitar, but they didn't know how to get there and how to make that a practice every day. So I wrote these 12 ways to ignite your life daily. And I tell people, if you follow these and if you ignite your life, it's a firewall to 4 things: anxiety, addiction, depression, and isolation. And it's really powerful. And the 12 ways, I don't need to go into them and tell you all of them, but it includes communing with nature. I'm outside right now. I love communing with nature. It's one of my favorite things. Meditate each morning. That's really important. Find some time to meditate each morning. Set the tone for your day. Explore your creativity. The last one I love too is enjoy life. Laugh. You know, it always has a way and then a word that goes with the way. So enjoy life, laugh. I mean, that's where it's at. So moving forward, there's lots to unpack with me. So ignite your life. And then out of that um, came my life path sessions and my labyrinth walk. So the life path sessions is where I sit with people for 30 minutes or an hour, and I talk to them about how they can ignite their life anywhere along their path. Sometimes I have people who are having relationship problems, or what should I do for a job? You and I did a quick life path session and came up with a catchphrase for your business. Sometimes we write a mantra, but it's a way to kind of quickly, and I'm really good at ignite. You know, I do these things quick.
Sarah, I want, because of our time, I need to just, and I love, because we're already short on time, I really would love to know, tell me, what are the most difficult obstacles you've ever gotten over in your life? How did you do it?
Well, and I know you wanted to talk about labyrinth, so I'll connect the two. How about that?
Okay, that's fine.
So a difficult obstacle was my alcoholism. You know, I started drinking when I was 12, got sober at 21, very young. And the way I got over that was, first of all, to acknowledge that there was a problem. You have to acknowledge it first, and then to find a way to solve it. And the way I solved that problem was by going to support meetings, recovery meetings. And the reason I bring in labyrinths into my work is because part of the way I solved, you know, my alcoholism issue was, like I said, getting support, but also connecting to something greater than myself. And when you walk a labyrinth, you connect to yourself, but you also connect to something greater than yourself. And it's a great form of meditation. So I love leading labyrinth walks all over Houston. I love, you know, doing labyrinth walks with you. And to me, people, if everybody could do a labyrinth walk at least once a week, it would be a different world.
And the thing I really like that you brought up, because a lot of the women I deal with look for ways to take care of themselves, to slow down. And the meditation doesn't have to be exotic. It can be breathing deeply, or, you know, really deeply and slowly for a couple of minutes. And the labyrinth walk, you even can, I know that you can even get printouts and color them in.
Well, and what I wanted to say really quick is a new thing that I'm doing now, because we are so digital with the quarantine and everything that's going on, is that you can do finger labyrinth. I mean, hand labyrinth. I mean, you can do finger on paper, but you can literally do with your hand, go 12 times. You know, count to 12.
Oh, cool.
And then put your hands in the middle, count to 12, and then do the other hand, count to 12. And 12 is a really magical number. You know, it's 12 steps, 12 apostles, 12 months of the year. And so it's a really spiritual connection to yourself, and again, to spirit, to your, you know, to other people. And it really calms you down. I promise you, you can do this at a stop sign, you know, the stoplight, and get calm. So there's something about connecting to yourself into something greater than yourself that's really important. So I also say, you know, share my personal mantra, which I, you know, of course have to kind of do a life path session on myself, is my divine wisdom ignites lives and creates connections. So my divine wisdom ignites lives and creates connections. And I say divine because I really connect, as I always say, to the spirit, but also the feminine divine, you know, and we all have wisdom, and I love to share my wisdom. So that's what I love to do.
And we're all in it together. And you mentioned about collaboration, and that to me is a way that we all collaborate. This all fits so well into the women that I work with, because expanding ourselves, be it through art, and as I mentioned, you do not have to be
an artist.
Yeah, right. You would be like a defined artist. Anybody can do. I can do it. Anybody can do it.
Right. No, everybody's an artist, and people, you know, what I do say, because there is different kinds of art. You know, there's visual art, there's theatrical art, there's, you know, singing, etc. But there's also the art of accounting, you know, the art of cooking, the art of whatever. Art is creation. Art comes from the heart. So whatever you create out of your heart. But I do think that visual art is a great equalizer, because everybody can take a pencil and do something, you know, immediately. You and I could sit here for 5 seconds and draw something and show each other what we've drawn, and that would be connecting to our heart. And I do use, honestly, I do use art in my life path sessions a lot. I have a notepad and crayons, which people never use anymore. So it's fun to get adults to use crayons, colored pencils and pens and pencils. And I have people draw things just intuitively. I'm an intuitive guide. So I intuitively say, why don't you draw this? And amazing things have come out of just these brief little pieces of art that people make, because you can see a lot when you connect to your heart, and I want to say unconsciously or intuitively. A lot of stuff comes out. There's a lot of things to look at there. So,
and one of the
it's
things,
fun.
and the thing I love is that it can expand to other things, because I find that I got into lately about putting different outfits together and jewelry and making all sorts of
Yes.
fun little things. And to me, that is my creativity, because I have fun with it.
Yes. And, speaking of outfits, I mean, I think it's fun to figure out who your style icon is, who your style avatar is. And somebody told me once, and of course I've forgotten her name right now, but that I look like so-and-so, this woman who is very funky. So she's older though, older than me. So I was a little bit, she's funky, but she's older. But it's fun to figure out whose style you like. Sometimes I'll get up and I'll think David Bowie, David Bowie. What would David Bowie wear? Would he, do matchy? Would he have, or would he mix up, patterns, which I love to do. And probably the reason I love to do that is because it puts things off kilter out there in the world, and it's not necessarily even just to like notice me, but it's to say, hey, there's something different, because we go through our world and our lives so numbed out sometimes. And I went to Walden Pond on one of my Ignite Your Life road trips, Henry David Thoreau, and he talked about, people living lives of quiet desperation. And I think that to get out of that quiet desperation, you have to wake up and observe and notice what's around you and look at the beauty everywhere, just like the little, sprouts that I saw this morning that I would not have seen if I wasn't sitting there being quiet, and they're beautiful, and they'll probably be dug up by my dog tomorrow, but at least I saw them today.
Well, no, I
So,
can relate to that, because for me, it was birding.
thank you so much.
You bring a lot to our community, to ourselves, and to the world.
Thank you so much, Jody. And I appreciate you listening to my story. You're a great listener. So thank you. Have a great day.
Namaste.
Namaste. Ignite your life.
I will.